Your order has arrived. Let's do an unboxing here of a typical T5 package that you've ordered with us. In front of me is going to be 4 boxes. First box here is going to be your accessory items. Actually, my mistake. It is one of the clutches. So in the box, we make some notes right on top that says, do not discard looking for underneath the foam. We'll speak to that in just a minute. These are all your instructions that come with the clutch set. Our folks in who did our packaging made sure that the disc is separated from the pressure plate. I'm going to set that aside. Inside the box, we have a separation of cardboard. Make sure that the pressure plate is secure. I do want to take a moment here to show you how well this foam has been and the pressure plate has been secured. The pressure plate was set in here with some wet foam and it then secures and hardens over time. So it's going to actually take just a little bit of effort to pull this out, but let me take a moment to do so. Okay, once out, we're going to just set that aside. We don't want to discard this box yet. We still have that contents we talked about here. We need to pull the foam up and get our pilot and alignment tool and perhaps even our throwout bearing. So I'm just going to peel this back just a little bit and you can see inside the throwout bearing and the alignment tool in the opposing corners, again, to assure that everything arrives safely. Let's set this aside. And as you can see, the pressure plate is well sealed with some anti-rust material to prevent anything in transit or storage. Very tightly packed. So as you unpackage all of your materials, make sure to inspect them. Make sure that everything looks good, nothing is unusual. So in this case, it looks perfect. We also have the throwout bearing and the alignment tool with a pilot bearing in this particular case, so that's all set to go. Let's take a look at our disc. Again, more bubble wrap. Again, we want to just do a quick inspection of the disc, make sure that nothing's been chipped, everything looks great. You'll notice that there is markings on it, so pay attention to that during the instruction process. And of course, you can just set these parts aside, and let's do that now. All right, let's take a look at this box here. This should be our bell housing box. This is 2 of 4. This particular bell housing box, I believe, unloads from the end, not through the top like the previous box. So again, our folks in shipping have done a very creative way of getting all of our parts to fit in here. This happens to be your shift lever pieces. Immediately you have the cross member that's going to be in this box or bag here. This happens to be for a T5 and a early Mustang. In the side here, we have a clutch fork as we start to slide more parts out. This feels like a clutch pedal. So we have our clutch pedal and the hardware is nearby and taped on to the packaging, so be sure not to just discard and say you've lost or misplaced the bolt. So keep those items together. let's continue. And I'm just going to slide the box away, double checking our packaging. And it doesn't appear to be anything in there, but make sure you check your packaging. Sometimes a small item may be in those corners. All right, so we have here a small block Ford T5 bell housing. And again, more items tucked underneath, utilizing all that space. We want to make sure that everything is secure. So we just do the unwrapping of this piece here. So we have our nice T5 aluminum bell housing. All of our accessory parts in here. These are going to be a lot of your small parts, your hardware, shift knob, flywheel bolts, pressure plate bolts, shift pads in this particular case, and we'll dive into this bag in just a bit. What we have here is a transmission rubber isolator that will be utilized on our cross member. We have a Hurst shift boot in this particular application. You may have required an OEM piece, so it may be packaged slightly different. Speedometer cable in this case, you may have acquired an electronic or GPS, so this may or may not be in your kit. And the piece in the cardboard, our folks in shipping made sure that the engine plate was not going to come in contact with the bell housing. Something worth noting in our engine plates is that we actually take the time to plate them so that they do not rust during transportation or in your vehicle. The Ford original ones were not plated, so it's a value-added process and product. Okay. Let's take a moment to look at our cross member. Again, hardware on the outside. Make sure to set that aside. Again, some of the uniquenesses of our product is that it is powder coated, not just painted. So again, give it an inspection. Everything looks to be in order. And then you can set your hardware with that product. Let's take a look at this box here. This is individually boxed by the manufacturer. And this should be our clutch fork or lever. So we have our clutch fork. This is a cable style fork. It's going to operate differently than a traditional 4-speed fork. But again, taking a look at everything, the springs are in good condition. Nothing's happened to it, so we're good to go there. Let's look at our small package of parts here. So immediately on top, you'll find your clutch and brake pedal pad with trim rings. Your hardware installation kit, and inside shows you all the different pieces of the hardware. That way you can assure that everything was included. This particular order, it was including a roller bearing kit with a clutch pedal. Another small item here is your clutch pedal stop that will go in your existing pedal hanger. An MDL shift knob here. Your classic white with a 5-speed pattern. Looks a lot like your 4-speed that you may have had in the car. And so we got the classic white, comes in many different colors including black. If you'd like, make sure to ask your salesperson if you hadn't acquired a shift knob for an MDL one. We'd be glad to provide you with one of those. Flywheel bolts from ARP. You may have also acquired a different brand. We do offer different models. And our pressure plate bolts with washers. And for most of the cars that we offer in a T5 package, a reverse light harness that can snap into the side of the transmission. The speedometer cable that we offer will also have a gear, which is located in a very small package, so make sure you don't misplace that. It has a clip inside, so you're going to be able to put those two together. Sometimes our folks will actually install this ahead of time for you, so make sure to check it both ways. So let me clear this table here, and we'll dive into the third of 4 boxes, and we'll continue on. As you're unpackaging your parts, be sure to take your invoice and go through it line item by line item and check mark the units. This happens to be an example of the sales order that was processed, and you can see the check marks that our shipping folks did when they were packaging your unit. So be sure to do the same as you're going through your items. So we have the material here. Get that out of the way. Again, making sure there's nothing there. So our first item out of the box here happens to be a slip yoke 28 spline for a T5. So again, carefully packaged. And you'll find that even the manufacturer itself put some extra protection on it. And then we have part of our hydraulic kits. This happens to be the slave cylinder with all of its hardware. Slave cylinder and the all-important instructions. Next item coming out of the box, again well labeled so you can make sure that you have the right pieces, is the master cylinder kit. Let me slide this aside. Bleeder kit for the master cylinder. We include this as a value-added item so you can make sure that you can do the bleeding portion of it by yourself. So that is unique to modern driveline. It's a value-added product. Reservoir with the rubber line. Master cylinder kit with its fittings already installed for you. The block for the firewall. And the hardware installation kit with all the push rods and hardware. And detailed instructions on how to install the kit as well. So if you need any extra support with that, feel free to contact us through tech support. We're available 8 to 5, Monday through Friday on that, Mountain Time. So let me just kind of put some of these pieces away here and set that aside. In the bottom of the box, we always put the heavy items down below, is going to be the flywheel. So each flywheel is a little different. You want to verify that your flywheel is what you ordered, again with the balance. It's important that the balance be checked prior to installation. We did make sure to ask you that during the sale process. Again, where we have more bubble wrap, some anti-rust paper to make sure your flywheel arrives safely. And there's a few features on this I'm just going to talk about briefly. The 10.4-inch metric pattern pins have already been installed for this particular flywheel, so that you don't have to do that installation yourself. And this particular unit is a 28-ounce with its counterweight, and that's a 157 tooth flywheel. This particular example here is a cast unit, but had it been a billet unit, you would check the laser markings on the back. So that's pretty much everything in the support box. We'll take a moment here to bring the T5 in and show you a few features in the unboxing of that product. All right, the fourth and final box, the big ticket item here, the T5. Obviously, you're very excited to dive in. Let's do so. All right, you may want to note that there's some extra foam padding. That is something that MDL does to assure that your transmission is going to arrive safely and securely. Okay, let's go ahead and start pulling this out. Right on top, you'll find some instructions for the transmission. And then this is where we're going to need an extra friend because this transmission weighs approximately 80 pounds. Just set it aside. Alrighty. The T5 example we have in here in front of us is a early Mustang Gen 1 with the offset shifter. So if you get a T5 for a Fox body, it's going to have the OEM TREMEC T5 shifter, not the red one that you see here. So let's do just a basic inspection. We'll take the protective cover off. It is not unusual to see some cardboard, dust on it. That is normal. The casting that you see, everything looks in order, and everything looks great here. So in this particular case, transmission's in neutral. We give it a little spin test, everything looks great. We can shift it by hand if we like, but that basically is everything that's included with a T5 package. We do want to take a moment again to thank you for purchasing with Modern Driveline. Be sure to give us some photos and feedback on your project. We'd love to see those. We post them up on our website or on the Car Buff Network and other social media sites. And be sure to come back to our website and give us that review. Our happy customers tend to be our quietest customers. So come back to the website, give us a review, and again, thanks for making it modern.